Okay, here's the NRL 29 season round 7 preview. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible because I am aware that in the morning, my time, afternoon, evening, Australian time, there are some games kicking off within the next 12 hours. So I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as possible. We're going to start with the Roosters Dragons. This game, I think, is too close to call. The Dragons have been under the radar a little bit. They are missing some key players, though. They are missing Widdop. They are missing Corbin Sims. Now, Gareth Widdop could actually come back before the end of the season, but it's a long order. Corbin Sims playing with that broken arm. Has he done more damage to that arm long term? They're two big misses, and in the first 2 rounds, like Corbin Sims, the Dragons struggled up front. They've adapted well to him not being there, but at the same time, the Roosters, look what they did to the Storm. If the Roosters get a good start, it could be difficult for the Dragons. If the game is tight, that could favour the Dragons a little bit, but the Roosters have bounced back from that opening round defeat to the Rabbitohs, and they are looking dangerous and threatening and hungry. Then that hangover of grand final last year, it's gone. That was the first round. That's gone. This team is I think, possibly the favourites for the competition this year. I think this game is too close to call personally, but how much emotion did the Roosters leave on the field, and how much in a tight game as well? The Dragons were in a tight game last weekend. How much emotion did they leave on the field? You know, is one team going to dominate the other? Is it going to be an arm wrestle? We'll have to see. But the Roosters have, in adversity, because they've got a lot of injuries, those younger players that came in off their interchange bench, including a guy called Josh Curran. Yeah, same surname as me. Same dad's first name, David. Yeah. He had a very good game off the interchange bench. They blooded those players against the Storm. I think, yeah, even though they're missing some players, those young, inexperienced players off the interchange bench really, put their hand up and said, select us. So it's going to be interesting with the Roosters Dragons. Really is. Injuries, they are missing both sides. Vaughan's missing, Corbin Sims missing. There are a lot of players missing for both sides. Cooper Cronk's been targeted in defence. He's got a shoulder that's held together with metal pins. So will the Dragons target Cronk? Will Keary and Mitchell, for example, take that pressure off Cronk like they did at times against the Storm? We'll have to wait and see. But Latrell Mitchell could be the difference maker in this game. Look what he did against the Storm. Balls of steel. That's all I'm going to say. The Storm Warriors, I have to go with the Storm on this one, but they will be frustrated and angry after that defeat at home to the Roosters last weekend. The Warriors have got a very potent attack when they're clicking, and if they can get a lead, the Storm don't look as comfortable chasing a game. I still think the Storm will win the arm wrestle. If it gets into an arm wrestle, that's why the Warriors need to start quickly and efficiently and bounce back from last weekend's defeat. But when the Warriors do get it clicking together in attack, they can create something out of nothing. They don't even have to play well to score tries. Defensively, they have tightened up. It's their consistency that is a problem. The Storm have finally tasted defeat. They're going to be angry. They've got to tighten up that defence. They cannot give the Warriors a head start, otherwise it makes the game more difficult. Plus, Adam Blair and Tohu Harris, formerly of the Storm, are now playing for the Warriors. Does that give them some kind of inside knowledge advantage on how the Storm will play? We know what the Storm are all about. They're about efficiency and the arm wrestle. They like keeping games tight. They like controlling the pace of the game. They don't like chasing the game. So if you put the Storm under pressure, you can have a chance. But I think the Storm have too much as the way they play over the Warriors, who are a bit more laissez-faire, a little bit more off the cuff, a little bit less structured. So it's going to be interesting. That is definitely a battle of tactics to watch, especially with the Warriors having a stronger side, I think, this year than they have in previous years. And Blair and Harris, they are big signings over the last couple of years for the Warriors. It's going to be fun to watch. Bulldogs, Cowboys. The Cowboys have got that second win now. The Bulldogs are close, but no cigar. The inexperience of the Bulldogs is showing. They're not doing well with that lack of experience, and it is an inexperienced side. The salary cap constraints they've had the last couple of years, they've lost a lot of key big name players. Their forward pack is very young, inexperienced, and their backline is reasonably young and inexperienced. Individually, some players are playing really well, but as a team collective, the heads can drop. The heads can drop. So if they get behind, if the Cowboys get a good start, if Taumalolo can play like Taumalolo can, that could be a very one-sided affair. But the Cowboys are also struggling. They scrape past 17-10 in the last round. They're not being free-flowing and fluent. Their defence also is leaking. These are two of the worst defences in the competition. It could be a high-scoring game. It could be a mistake-ridden game. I think the Cowboys haven't adapted well to the lack of Jonathan Thurston in the side. They are missing him. They're missing him around the dressing room. They're missing him on the field. Players for the Cowboys need to step up. Players for the Bulldogs also need to step up and put a performance in. Both these sides, I don't think, make finals footy. I don't think they're going to be in the reckoning at the end of the season. However, the Cowboys now have 2 wins. Can they build on that? The Bulldogs close against the Rabbitohs in a scrappy game. If they can make the game scrappy for the Cowboys, make it difficult for them to settle, and they're at home, they have a chance. But this could be a high-scoring game, or it could be a low-scoring, scrappy affair. But it could be entertaining for the neutral. I can't call that one. Too close. Panthers, Rabbitohs. I think the Rabbitohs, even though they're not playing well, they're winning. The Panthers aren't playing well and they're losing at times. Consistency for the Panthers is a problem. The Rabbitohs have had a very good start to the season. They're one of the top teams in the comp. There's a reason why. Even without Greg Inglis, they are a solid side. They've got some quality throughout the side. When you've got players like Dane Gagai, when he gets the ball, Christ, try stopping him. When you've got the Burgess brothers, all of them putting in big minutes, big shifts. They're internationals, and Wayne Bennett is their coach. There is some change of transitional period from Anthony Seibold, but the squad's pretty much the same. New coach and a coach in Wayne Bennett who's got over 60% win percentage all time. Yeah, it's a tall order for the Panthers with their misfiring backline and the fact that they don't score enough tries. That's an Ivan Cleary team problem. That's a long-standing issue with his tactics. The players on display, the Panthers, should be difficult to beat, but it's a confidence issue as well. And it's getting the forward pack to transition into back play when the ball comes from the forwards to the backs, those outside backs. Mansour, he's not scoring enough. You got Maloney in the halves. They're not scoring enough even with these really good backs and forwards. They've got a solid forward pack. This is going to be a battle. It could be a close game, but the Rabbitohs are liking these close games. They're winning them. They're winning ugly. It's a sign of a good side. The Panthers, they're playing some scrappy footy right now. Ball retention's been poor. Discipline's been poor. It could be an uphill struggle. If they start dropping the ball, making mistakes, not completing sets, it could be a long afternoon. Consistency is their problem. Much like the Warriors, the Panthers are not consistent enough. West Tigers, Gold Coast Titans. This could be an interesting game. The Tigers got hammered by the Eels at the weekend. They're at home. The Titans have won 2 in a row, so they've got some confidence, but they also have some injury issues. The Tigers have some injury issues. 2 defences that leak a lot of tries. That's a problem. The Tigers also not scoring enough tries now. The Titans are starting to click. They're starting to score tries. They're starting to look more fluid. And the team they actually have, they should be much better in the standings than what they actually are. They had a poor start to the season. Confidence was low. They've won 2 in a row. Let's see if they can make it 3. They're starting to look dangerous. They really are. And that big win over the Newcastle Knights will give them a lot of confidence going forward. They've beaten the Panthers as well. They've beaten, I think, sides that actually are better sides for the squad they have, but they've got confidence. And I think the Tigers, they could be on a high. They could have a difficult week, difficult weekend. They could have a difficult game. Conceding 51 points, that's not great. How emotionally are they feeling as well? Can they bounce back? Is Reynolds going to start? Is Benji Marshall going to start? That's who's going to partner Brooksy in the halves. That's been a contentious issue all season. And their kicking choices on the last tackle were poor. They were completing sets. It's what they did after that. Plus, the forwards weren't getting the support from the outside backs, trucking the ball up. The forwards were tired. The forwards were hammered down the middle. The Gold Coast Titans are confident. So this could be a difficult game. I'm going with the Titans for this one because they've got that confidence. They want to win 3 in a row. They want to get momentum going and climb up the table. The Tigers are a hit and miss team. One day they're brilliant. The next day they're shocking. We don't know what to expect from the West Tigers. Defence, though, is a problem. And tactically, they got it all wrong against the Eels. Completing sets, no plan at the end of a set. Also, the forwards were doing more work because the outside backs weren't supporting them in the middle. So when they kicked the ball away, the forwards were exhausted, the outside backs out of position, and they were down the other end of the field very quickly. Broncos, Sharks. Broncos are in serious trouble. They're joint bottom. They've got one of the worst defences in the league. They can score tries, but they're chasing games a lot. They cannot allow the Sharks to get a start. The Sharks have been not fluent, but they are winning games. They're scrapping out wins. They're even when they're losing tight games. They're not getting blown out when they lose. When they win, they're not putting teams to the sword, however. But they're a solid side. They're not fully firing on all cylinders. Very disruptive off-season, obviously. Shane Flanagan being re-registered, new coach coming in, issues with the salary cap. But the Sharks, when they get tries, they can get a lot. The Broncos defensively is an issue. look at the game against Canberra, for example, or the game against the Storm. They gave the opposition a head start, chasing the game, did not look great. They got some tries, but then they put so much energy into getting back into the game, they had nothing left for the final 10-15 minutes, which has proved crucial in every single one of the Broncos' defeats. The Dragons game, for example, I don't think they've mentally recovered from that either. Fullback is an issue with Darius Boyd. How much longer can he be the starting fullback? Is he the right guy to be captain? Their lack of experience in the pack. The Sharks have, I think, the stronger pack and the stronger interchange bench. They're bleeding in the youngsters rather than just having a whole interchange bench full of youngsters. I have to go with the Sharks on this one. It will be a close game, for that I can see, but the Broncos have to be on the front foot. If they're chasing the game, it's going to be a long afternoon, and they're not playing well. Anthony Seibold is now starting to be under a lot of pressure, but it's not just his fault. It's the squad that he's got available to him. I think Wayne Bennett going to the Rabbitohs a season early, and Seibold coming in a season early, I think that's disrupted things a little bit and possibly was the wrong idea. I think they should have had the status quo for another season. But they've lost some key players. The forward pack is exceptionally experienced, and the back line doesn't have the structure in attacking play. This is a very un-Brisbane-like start to the season. It's the worst season I've seen them have ever. They've only ever missed finals footy twice, but they've never had a season start this bad. So this is really historically bad. The Sharks are a mid-table side at the moment. They want to get some consistency. They need to get a couple of wins back-to-back, build some momentum, but they won a scrappy game against Penrith, which says that they can win tight games. They've got that mental fortitude when the things aren't going fully fluent. They still have enough experience to get over the line. I'm going with the Sharks on that one. The Sea Eagles, Raiders, I'm going to go with the Raiders. In attack, they are, machine. The Green Machine can get repeat sets. Even if they're not scoring, they're getting repeat sets. The Sea Eagles aren't scoring a lot of tries. And at times they've conceded a lot of points. They've tightened up defence lately. They're not scoring enough. They are not scoring enough. And as we've seen, front football, being in the lead, chasing a game. If teams are chasing games, they generally lose in this league. The Raiders, the way they've started games, the teams they've beaten, and they didn't lose badly against the Melbourne Storm. They've got something going here. They've got that attack going. Defensively, there are some issues with the Raiders, but they've got a lot of new players that have come in. The lineup's changed, and they are exceptionally underrated. They weren't expected to be this good. They've been underestimated by teams, and they've nilled Parramatta. They've nilled two sides so far in the competition. They've beaten Brisbane for the first time in years. They are a team to be wary of. They should not be underestimated. They're playing a lot better than they did last year. They are looking dangerous, and there's a reason why they're joint top. Manly, inconsistency as well has been a problem. They started slowly. They're not really up to full speed yet. They've got one of the weakest squads. They've also had salary cap issues. It could be a difficult weekend for Manly. They cannot allow the Raiders to get 10, 12, 14 points ahead, because chasing the game against the Raiders is going to be a difficult ask. They need to be in the game at half time. If they're behind, it could be a difficult ask. The Raiders' issue is overdoing it in the first half, tiring themselves out, and as the Broncos proved, allowing the opposition back into the game. They looked a little bit tired. They overdid things. They need to be a little bit more patient sometimes in attack, keep those repeat sets going, and they will tire out the Sea Eagles. The last game of the weekend is the Newcastle Knights versus the now red-hot Parramatta Eels. Nilled by Canberra, put 50 points past the West Tigers. The Newcastle Knights, they are struggling. This could be the most one-sided game of the weekend. The Parramatta Eagles clearly were very frustrated with their defeat to Canberra, but, they hit a brick wall. They hit a green wall. The Knights, they're not scoring enough tries. Defensively, they also had a shocker against the Titans. They've been pretty defensively solid up to that point. The issue with the Knights is they're not scoring enough going forward. Parramatta, they've been brilliant this season. Absolutely brilliant. Their attack is lethal. They've got players clicking. They are missing Blake Ferguson. He will still be an injury doubt. He may be a match day selection. It's a fitness issue. Is he going to be fit enough to start? He wasn't fit enough to start in the last round. It did not matter. Other players stepped up. The Knights, they need to come together as a team. A lot of new faces in the Knights. They started the season well, and it started to slow down. The issue with the Knights is they're not scoring more than 20 points a game. I don't think they've hit more than 20 points a game yet. It's going to be interesting to see if the Knights can be in this at half-time. If the Knights are still in the game at half-time, they have a chance. They are at home. They are dogged at home. But they need to shut down the Eels. They need to shut down Mitch Moses. And Mitchell Pearce needs to take control of the game. David Clement needs to lead that forward pack, and the outside backs need to step up and put a shift in, because Edric Lee, while he's the top try scorer for the team, he's not a consistent enough try scorer. You need to have other try scorers for them to have a chance. But there we go. That's my round 7 preview. And we're going to have some really interesting rugby league over this weekend. We had a brilliant Easter weekend. Absolutely amazing. Some great games. Even the scrappy games were fun to watch for the neutral because they were so tight. This could be really interesting. And there are some teams that could be on a hiding to nothing. Other teams are struggling as well. And then you've got the teams like the Roosters, the Storm, the Dragons, the Rabbitohs, the Eels and the Raiders, all really tightly packed at the top. All of them have 10 points, really tight at the top. All of them have won 5 and lost 1. It's really tight at the top, but it's also starting to see some separation between top and bottom, which is very clear. Teams like the Titans have started to hit some form. Broncos are struggling, so there's some really interesting stories, but thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Place your thoughts below. I'll have some more club histories as well to do over the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes open for them. Probably do some over the weekend when I have time. And for now, thank you very much for watching. I'll have some more videos for you very soon.